Kyunghee, I can only imagine sort of how nerve-wracking, how much anxiety there was amongst the people, including yourself, who were on that ship when news broke that potentially one of the passengers had tested positive. What happened and how did this turn into a false positive in the end?
Well, it basically happened early in the morning when we got the captain's announcement that the ship was going officially into quarantine and that we are returning back to Singapore a day earlier, following protocols from the government. So most of us basically were on the ship for about 14 hours after we arrived in Singapore because the government had to do contact tracing to see whether there were other passengers on the vessel that might have come in contact with this patient that was tested positive initially. By 7:30, we were all allowed to disembark in staggered disembarkments. And as a precaution that was put in measure by the Singapore government when they started the cruise again, everyone who leaves the vessel will need to take a rapid testing before they can actually leave the cruise terminal itself. So, we only found out about the fact that this patient was tested negative twice after he was taken to the hospital. So, it's been a bit of a ride, I have to say, with all the waiting and everything that went through yesterday.
Well, at least you weren't like the people in Japan who were on a cruise ship for about a month at the beginning of the COVID outbreak. But in terms of the efforts to revive travel during the pandemic, in a way, it seems like these rapid test kits were very important in making this less bad than it might have been.
I think that's why the Singapore government made sure that, you had certain testings in place because obviously one of the things that sort of deter people from traveling is the 14-day mandatory quarantine. So the Singapore government is trying to replace that quarantine with testing. And I can tell you that there's been rigorous testing before people get on the cruise. I mean, everyone on who gets on the cruise will have to be tested, full PCR testing before they can get on the vessel itself. And then afterwards, another testing to make sure that nothing happened while we were on the ship itself as well. So, yes, there's a lot of challenges because obviously, a lot of things can happen that we don't know, and that's why there was rigorous contact tracing. Everyone had to have a tracing token with them on the ship itself, so that if something like what happened yesterday happens, the authorities can go in and check to see who might have come in contact and can quickly eliminate and put those people in isolation and testing before it can further spread to the community. So, in a lot of ways, I think the Singapore government tried to put in the measures to ensure that, we can restart this safely. But of course, everything has that exception that could happen. No one plans.